All right. This is Eugene Clark at RAMA 2015 in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm with
STELLA Palikarova.
Stella
Palikarova.
And that, what nationality is that?
Bulgarian.
Bulgarian. Now, at a panel discussion today, Stella, we touched on a few topics. Would you refresh the audience memory?
Well, we spoke a little bit about myself being a woman with a disability and what it is like for me in the dating world.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is your disability?
I have spinal muscular atrophy, and that is a neuromuscular disorder, and I have muscle weakness but normal sensation everywhere.
Okay. So, the dating world,
Yes.
how does that work?
Well, it can be challenging because you have to think about physical accessibility of places that you want to go, and then, guys can be, it can be challenging because a lot of men might be curious about dating a woman with a disability, but they don't know really how to approach it, or they might just want to have a sexual experience with a woman with a disability, but not necessarily date you because they're afraid of you being overly needy or attached to them, dependent upon them in a way that makes a relationship a lot more challenging. And of course, a lot of guys are very selfish too, so they're especially afraid of that.
Especially, hold on for one moment. Let me turn this off.
Yes.
So, having said all that, where do you find most of your dates? I think you mentioned it was easier for most men to attempt to date you. How?
Sometimes online dating can be a little bit less daunting because women with disabilities, especially in our society, are desexualized and infantilized a lot. Probably not just women, but I can only speak from my own experience. And so when you talk to somebody online, a lot of those barriers are lifted because you're not really in real time. So you're getting a chance to interact with somebody and get to know them without, that big wheelchair just being in your face and being kind of like, I don't know what to do here.
Now, do you tell them that you're in the wheelchair? You tell them your physical limitations?
Yeah, well, I have dating profiles on various websites, and I do disclose in my profile my disability, but I also try to make it known sort of in a fun way that I can engage in all aspects of a relationship. Right.
I see.
Yes.
And how do men, now, if you like them and what they're talking about, and what's the next step?
Well, it just really depends, right, on the context of your interaction. So, I mean, if I'm gonna meet somebody in person and take it to the next level, then obviously I look for somebody who's respectful, and they can certainly ask their questions and be curious, but as long as it's not done in a rude, jerky way,
So what advice would you give other ladies in your situation? Or men, because I'm sure men are in the same situation and they have some of the same concerns, yes?
They do and they don't. What I've found a lot of the time, especially in my work, because I have a brand, it's actually Deliciously Disabled, that I just started, and we talk about body positivity and healthy sexuality for people with disabilities. It's one of our platforms. But when it comes to men with physical disabilities that are interested in women specifically, a lot of the time there's less stigma because women are stereotypically known as being more nurturing and more accepting of less materialistic in some ways. I shouldn't say materialistic, but less concerned with physical appearance or something like that. But when it comes to men, a lot of the time we get what's known as courtesy stigma. So we attach the value of the woman to the man, right? So a lot of the time you see powerful men or well-renowned men that look for women that can represent them and usually that is physically, right? So that's where we get the notion of arm candy, or like a woman that, you know, oh, he snagged her, right? Like,
Yes.
like he must be the shit because he got that woman.
Now, have you found many men that you really, really liked online and you clicked and things worked well for a while?
Yeah, sometimes I do meet people, obviously, that I connect with, and things work well, and we even might start dating, but then, like, a couple of months into it, they just kind of do a 360 mental, like, psychologically, and they say, you know what, like, you're really cool, I like you as a friend, but I can't really see myself with you because I just, like, I don't know where you would fit into my life. And then there's also, like, how would I introduce this girl to my parents, to my friends? Nobody's going to understand why I'm dating a woman with a disability. Like, I can't get a regular girl, whatever that means. And it's disheartening a lot of the time because you meet people, you think you have a lot in common, you're vibing off each other, and then something like that happens.
Now, you mentioned to me that you are a screenwriter.
Yes, I'm a screenwriter and a director.
Yes. So, have you incorporated any of these encounters, relationships, situations in your work?
I have a short film called Maybe Tuesday that I produced, wrote, and directed, and it is actually a dance film that really explores my experiences in dating, sexuality, and just the whole concept of performing your life. My film is very theatrical, and it actually mostly is on stage. And it has this whole notion of how we perform our sexuality and how we see ourselves as archetypes at any given time in our life. So we can be very sexual and predatory, or we can be very romantic and demure. You know, there are all these elements.
Now, where can we see this film, this short?
My film is available on Vimeo.
And how would, if one isn't used to the internet, how would you get to Vimeo? What would you do?
I think you would go to, I think it is vimeo.com, and then you do a search for Maybe Tuesday or Stella Palikarova.
So you want to spell your name so they can type it in?
My last name is spelled Palikaro, V as in Victor A.
First name?
Stella, Stella.
Do you have a website?
I have a website that is coming, and it is deliciouslydisabled.org.
Now, have you met some guy that he really liked you, and you thought, this isn't going to work for whatever the reasons, and told him goodbye?
Oh, of course. Like, it's, that happens too.
So it does work kind of both ways sometimes.
It works both ways, but not for the same reason.
I see. So what reasons have you turned a guy?
Usually the number one reasons are we just don't have very much in common. I can't really see myself with you long term because we don't share common interests, common values, or simply there isn't the right chemistry there.
And how have they taken, when you said, this isn't going to work, how have they taken that? Oh!
Sometimes there is a shock and awe factor that goes along with that. I've actually gotten on dating websites when I haven't responded. One guy recently wrote again and said, I can't believe that even a chick in a wheelchair is not writing back to me. And I just thought, that is so ignorant and it's so rude. But for some reason, people have this concept that, oh, if you have a disability, you must be desperate and you must jump at any opportunity. Any guy that shows an interest, you'll be all over them like a fat kid on a Smartie.
Now, a fat kid on a Smartie. Now, is that in your screenwriting as well? In your What About Tuesday? Is it called What About Tuesday?
No, it's called Maybe Tuesday.
Maybe Tuesday. So do you touch on that subject in Maybe Tuesday?
Not so much in Maybe Tuesday. That film more explores just my relationship with dating and sexuality and my representation of myself as a woman and how I want to be perceived. And I do it through dance, so it's harder to get into, that kind of stuff.
Are you performing yourself, or you have actors do that for you?
I am in the film, and I am also performing, and I'm a terrible actress.
What about you others? You said you wrote 4 screenplays?
I have several screenplays, although those, I have a few other films, but those are not online yet.
Now, you mentioned funding. Have you gone through Factor? What?
My bigger short film, Maybe Tuesday, was funded by the Canada Arts Council through a project called SPEED, SPEED, and it specifically funds short creative projects for people with disabilities. But it was intended to only be a 5-minute film, and I turned it into a 22-minute film. So I had to sort of canvas and get my own funding, and I also put a lot of my own money into it. Yeah.
And Factor's for music anyway. Factor's music. It's for music, not for movies. I should have known that, but that's the only word that came to my head was Factor. Oh, well, very good. Well, listen, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
Sure. Well, hopefully one day I can reach the caliber that, someone as iconic as yourself would consider working with me, with lowly little me.
Well, let me say something. I appreciate that. You get the project. You make sure that it's accepted by the union. You're a union signatory. And if I like it, we can work together.
That's amazing.
There are a lot of producers, first-time producers and directors out there. They have a good project, and the next thing you know, they're big. So if you have the talent, you have the heart, you have the desire, hey girl, we'll all be working for you.
That'd be amazing. That'd be incredible.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.